Hey everyone, how's it going? So in one of my videos where I spoke about, customers and, ever since yous and stuff like that, we've had a couple of cases of, ever since yous that weren't something we ever did. It was actually like that from when it was new. Um, One of them, in fact, is a funny one. Customer or one of you guys had commented, and this one stuck in my head because this reminded me of something, that they had a customer that they did whatever work on their vehicle, and when they picked it up, they came back and they were complaining that the emblems on the hubcaps were not aligned, meaning, standing straight up and down. Like, well, when you drive, they're never going to be in sync with one another because you're driving. But the customer couldn't understand that. Like, it wouldn't register. Yeah, we've had stuff like that, trust me. I've seen it many times. I had an interesting one. And, I mean, the customer was right in the end, but it had nothing to do with us. It was how the vehicle was manufactured. It was a GMC Yukon XL, or XLT, whatever they called it, the one that's a Suburban, basically. And it might have been a Denali, I don't recall. But it had the leather interior. This plays a part in this story in a second. So the customer had come in, and their complaint was that the car pulls in one direction. I don't remember if it was left or right. So I get the vehicle, I take it for a ride. Sure enough, it pulled one way, whichever way it was. All right. And this was a relatively new vehicle. Like, it had low mileage, like a couple of 100 miles on it. Okay. I get it up on the alignment rack. I check the alignment specs. It was off a little bit. Nothing that I would deem a problem. So, but I got it perfect, exactly where it needed to be, like dead center of everything. Okay. I take it for a ride, pulls like crazy. Okay. I then cross-switch the front tires, because sometimes that can do something, that can change things, and that's how you know if it's in the tire or not, because I've seen tires that are, let's just say 225, 75, 15, let's just say. I've seen it where you have two tires that are the same brand, same everything, and one has a different circumference if you measure the outside. So I swap front tires left to right, exactly the same. I rotate tires front to rear, exactly the same. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? So then I go and I adjust caster on it. And I adjusted caster on one side to the extreme of its adjustment. Not to the extreme, but to the limit of what's acceptable. I adjusted it to the limit of what's acceptable to the one end. And then on the other side, I adjusted it to the other end to the limit of what's acceptable. To this way, maybe see if that would force it to go straight. It didn't change anything. It still pulled. So I'm like, well, that's bizarre. So I called GM up. I said, this is what I got going on. So they were like, okay, when you're going down the road, go on a straight road, make sure you're going dead straight on a road where you know if you let go of the wheel, the car should go straight. I was like, okay, we got plenty of those around here. While going down the road, carefully turn the key off so the engine shuts down. When the engine shuts down, see if it goes straight. And then when you restart it, if the pull comes back, you have a bad power steering box. Okay, makes sense. I didn't think of it, but it makes perfect sense. Chrysler, way back when they had steering boxes in their cars and whatnot, and their earlier pickup trucks, the top of the steering box was actually adjustable where the lines went in, and you could adjust it left or right to change the amount of pressure on the steering box to make the car pull one way or the other. So yeah, sometimes if you had a pull, you could actually adjust that to get rid of it because it would be in the steering box. Anyway, take the car down the road. Yes, it does that. It pulls one way. And shut it off. It goes straight. Start it back up. It pulls. Okay, it's in the box. We get a new box. I put it in. Road test it. Perfect. It's perfect. Okay, no problem. Now, we've had the car for probably a week at this point in time. So I go on, I'm doing something else. So next thing I know, the service manager comes back and he says, he's just shaking his head. He goes, you worked on such and such as a vehicle. I go, yeah. Now, if I remember correctly, it was a vehicle that was owned by a funeral home, but I'm not positive. It could have been a limo service, but I don't think so. I think it was a funeral home. So I said, yeah, I worked on it. He goes, I just don't even know how to go about this. He goes, but did you change the front seats? Excuse me? He goes, did you change the front seats? He goes, I know you didn't. He goes, but I got to ask. I go, why would I change front seats? I don't own a Suburban or a Yukon or anything like that. I Dodge Neons. He goes, come here. He goes, come take a look at this. And he goes, just tell me what you think. So we go out there and we look. And when you first look, it's two, the front seats are gray leather or tan leather. However, the stitching design from the left seat to the right seat was completely different. It was two different designs. And I don't remember if it was the driver's seat or the passenger seat matched the rear seat. So one of them was different. I'm pretty sure it was the driver's seat was the one that was different. So he's like, how do you think that happened? So I said, I don't know. So I put the seat all the way up and I looked, and they used these weird like star nuts to hold the seats down, the seat tracks down to the body of the vehicle. And they used a blue Loctite, and you could see they were never disturbed. Like from the factory, it was bolted down like that and left alone. So nobody had switched the seats or anything. It's just how it was. So had to put in a claim to GM to get a new seat cover for that side. Yeah. So I wound up having to put a seat cover on it too. But yeah, it's just weird that happened, but it happens. So mistakes in the factory, it happens. What are you going to do? Another one that we had that was weird was, I don't know if you remember the Dodge B vans, like B1500, B2500, B3500. The full-size rear-wheel drive, with a 5.2, 5.9 liter. We had one come in. It was brand new, hadn't been prepped yet, and I went to go do a prep on it. So I go and I put it up in the air, because you got to inspect everything on them, and you got to inspect fluids. So I go to the rear, because I'm about to check the rear end fluid, and yes, that was Mrs. Wrenching behind me. And I happen to notice at the right rear, there's gear oil all over the tire and everything else. I'm like, how in the world is there gear oil all over the tire? The seal must have blown out or something is the only thing I can think of. So I go and I pull the wheel off. I pull the drum off. I take the rear diff cover off. I take the C-clip out. I slide the axle out. There was no seal. It was assembled with no seal. Yeah, go figure that one out. Mistakes happen from the factory. And then I was told we had an old timer there named Chuck, and he had been there since the 70s, like early 70s. He was there when the dealership actually opened up. And so I forgot how many years he had actually worked there. But so he was telling me that one time they had a Dodge Aspen come in. I don't know if you remember those. 76 through 80 or 81, I don't remember. I actually really like the 76, 77 body styles. But anyway, he said they had one of those come in, and it had a Dodge Aspen fender on one side and a Plymouth Volare fender on the other side. Yeah. From the factory. Yeah. How do you manage that? With the emblem and everything else. So, yeah, strange things do happen, and strange things do happen from the factory. So, what are you going to do? But I just thought I'd share that with you. I thought it was a fun little story. All right, guys. Hopefully you're getting something out of my videos. If you are, hit that like button. If you could, please subscribe. All right, guys. Have a great day. Keep wrenching. I should have said great night. All right. Keep wrenching.